Wherever you are, like wherever your feet are, be there. When you are with your family, be with your family. If I'm in Paris for a month, be in Paris. Don't be worrying about the family. Give everybody permission, me in this case, using myself as this example, like guilt-free, to go and have that experience.
Hi, I'm Karmali. Welcome to Karmali Exchange. Business owners need to help each other out. Keep on pushing to meet the needs of the customer will meet the needs of the business.
Let's say you have a passion. Let's say colors. Let's say you take that passion. How do you turn that into not only a business, but a multi-business that can last over 2 decades? Well, we found the one who's done it. We're ready to show you more about this. I think it's going to be great. We've got Adrienne Furrie of Adrienne Furrie Beauty. Adrienne, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Faisal. It's really fun to be here with you.
You know, there's a passion for beauty that comes out whenever you've had any type of media attention on you. Your customers say the same thing. Your reoccurring vendors say the same thing as well. They can just see the beauty in the business versus the business of beauty. And so this is where I kind of want to kick it off. How did this all start? And I've heard the story about the purple pencil. and so let's start there. Let's have some fun, because I don't think a lot of people know the genesis, or at least that story. So kind of walk us through the purple pencil crayon story.
The purple pencil crayon. It's a simple story, but I think it says a lot. When I was quite young, I have a very vivid memory of sitting in front of a mirror, and I had, my pencil crayons in front of me. And I remember very distinctly this one beautiful lilac shade pencil crayon. And I remember looking at that pencil crayon and thinking, I think I need to see this color on my skin. I actually don't want to see it on the paper. It's so beautiful. How can I wear this color? And I remember sitting there, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5, and trying so diligently to use this pencil crayon on my eye, which obviously I would never recommend to anyone. Those pencil crayons are not made for that. But, I think that was definitely a telling moment in the future life that lay ahead of me.
And there you go. You start off with something that isn't recommended, putting a pencil crayon near your eye. And then you turn this into a multi-business, not only a service, but you sell product as well. And you're competing. And here, let's give the landscape of the odds of a business to be as successful as yours. And let me paint the picture, because, when I started off in my businesses, my key business that I'm part of, you're one of many. There's a lot of players in the game. So you have a lot of players in the game. There's some big brand names. When you're in the beauty business, you can just name off some of the department store style type of brands out there. And then you can also look at some of the major influencers or celebrities and what they push out there. It's unbelievable, the odds against you. And let's add it to a little bit more here. Let's put you into a city that's really isn't even known for the beauty business at all. How the hell do you turn all those odds and turn it around and put the beauty in your business from that?
Oh, when you put it that way, I'm like, I don't know. No, you know what? I think I do know. I think like way back when I first had my first formal role in the beauty business, I worked as a makeup artist with MAC Cosmetics. And this is back in the day before Sephora, and MAC was like the brand. It was just the coolest brand. And I still think they're amazing. Like, I think they still are such a powerful brand. And, I used to work at the MAC counter, and honestly, I liken it to working at a club on a busy Friday. Like, the whole counter would just be jammed with people, and it would be like, you over there, who wants help? Who can I help next? But I would often lock eyes with kind of the woman, the customer who wanted to be a part of it, but was sort of hanging back and felt a little bit kind of unsure of how to engage with the beauty space. Like, sure, they're sort of on the periphery of it. It's like, there's something fun over there. I want to be a part of it, but I'm not sure sort of what my access point is to kind of be a part of this sort of transformational, fun, playful, creative beauty space. And those were my people. And that was right when I was in my early 20s. And, and flash forward now, 20 some plus years later, I still feel like that it's that individual that's kind of the core of everything that I do with my business. Like, I really love helping to bridge the beauty world to people that kind of don't feel like they are a part of it for whatever reasons. Like maybe they were a part of it at one point in life and then life took over and they've sort of got, bumped out the sidelines of it, or maybe they grew up in a household where, maybe beauty in its various forms was either not supported or maybe it was even somewhat actively discouraged due to just family values and, all sorts of different reasons. We're all so different in who we are and how we interact with our sense of beauty and what that can mean for us. And so it's kind of like the anti-Sephora crowd, if you will. And it's not that there's anything wrong with Sephora. I love Sephora. I think it's amazing, but it can also be really kind of intense and overwhelming. And so it's there's sort of this whole beautiful, crowd of wonderful souls out there that, I think I've created an opportunity for them to kind of find their way. And so I think that's been kind of a steady theme of my business, of working in the beauty space. But it's always kind of been centered around that woman.
Yeah. When I look at your business and you can kind of get that tone, the vibe around it. It is literally, there's the nightclub feel. We'll use your example. Then there's the smaller speakeasy lounge type of feel. These individuals don't want to be in a big club. They don't want to be around all the stuff around. They just want to have a good time, but they want to make sure that it fits them. And I think that's where you've hit. And then anybody gets a chance to look at your website, though, if you take that quiz, that test, some of those questions on that test will tell you exactly what Adrienne is saying here. This is very interesting how you actually garner the individual based on a test. And we do that in our business. We try to figure out what you can be so overwhelmed with all the competition or all the stuff that's out there. Do I really belong? Do I really fit in? Do I really need to? I want something out of this, but is it right for me if everybody else is doing this, or just overwhelming? And I think you've done a great job there. Let's fast forward to now. You now have a family. Mm-hmm. And if you talk to any entrepreneur, and I've had many cocktail conversations, we'll call them, where it is so challenging to be an entrepreneur, to be a parent, to balance your life with your business. And I don't believe there's such thing as work-life balance. I believe it's just life and you have to figure it all out. But I wanted to get your take, because I get a lot of people that watch this show that says, you don't know what it's like to be a mother.
Yeah.
True. I don't.
Yeah.
I never will. Right.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's like to be a mother who's an entrepreneur. True. So how do you do it? What are the boundaries, or what's the pieces that you made it to become successful in your business? Because that's what we see, but also have that success at home as well.
Yeah, that's, I think it's thank you for asking that question. Oh man, it's such a big question. And yeah, it's how do you piece together building a business or working, having that career and that business that is really fulfilling and meaningful while still really doing everything you can to fulfill those deep desires for parenthood and in particular motherhood. And, for me, right off the bat, right at the very high level comment, I have to say that there are trade-offs. And I know for me, short term, I feel pretty confident in saying that I have chosen to slow the growth of my entrepreneurial endeavors in order to make time for family. Like it's something like I always kind of use the analogy, like I feel like I have one foot on the gas pedal and one foot on the brake. And it's kind of like, I really want to go, let's do this. And then I'm like, oh no, wait. Like I really want time for family. I want to be time with my children, make time for my husband and all those kinds of things. And so in terms of like practical sort of nuts and bolts, what have I done that I do think, at least for me, has kind of worked is acknowledging that I probably am slowing down a little bit business growth in order to do that. And that's a conscious choice that I've made around workspace, I made the decision to keep my studio home based. And that's been a very intentional choice. Like I certainly have, the ability and the opportunities to be moving into more of a conventional commercial space. And, and I did look into that fairly seriously. But, a combination of decision factors, running the numbers, first of all, I was like, ooh, I don't know about this even on numbers. I wasn't so sold on the idea right away. And then also just the time. It's like, you know what, at least here I can pop upstairs, be a part of the family, do family things, pop back downstairs, right back into work. And so it has its pros and cons, of course, like the complete lack of boundaries between personal and professional is close to zero. Like it's a very thin barrier between the two. But I think for most of us that are involved, at least in this sort of entrepreneurial pursuits that are so near and dear to our hearts, it's something we love. I don't think it's realistic to think that there's much separation between those anyway. Like Faisal, I don't know about you, but if I had to imagine, you probably wake up and work and all the things and all the projects and questions, they just start percolating instantly anyway. And so, my mind's always in business. I obviously do my best to shut it on and off as I switch gears back and forth between the two. But I think it's just an extension. It's a further extension of that, making this choice to have, the business space operate out of the personal space. We've obviously, again, further in logistics, done everything we can to create as much separation. Clients come in a separate space. We've got, personal space. Like we've really tried to separate everything as much as we absolutely can. But again, those were personal decisions based on being a mom with young sort of preteen, teenage kids and wanting to be here because they're not going to be around forever. So give me 5 more years and decisions will probably shift again. But for now, this was a choice that I feel good about. It's not always an easy choice, but I feel good about it. And it allows me to feel like that sense of alignment of value around valuing family and being able to continue to pursue my business aspirations as well.
So Adrienne, I was on a flight to Europe, and when you get on that kind of a flight coming out of Calgary, it's a long flight. So you had a lot of time to think, and if you're sitting beside somebody, you have a lot of time to have a conversation. And this one individual asked me, that was sitting beside me, said, any regrets in regards to this whole work-life balance, being an entrepreneur and so forth? And I had to think about that. So took a couple minutes and got back to this individual. I said, my one regret is I wish I never felt guilty. I wish I never felt guilty about taking one over the other. I wish I never felt guilty that if I had to work late or travel or what have you, I've got my family at home. I would rather spend it with my family at times than be in a meeting where I think it's useless. Like it's not going to go anywhere. And so my regret is I wish I never felt guilty. Have you ever felt guilty between the two? And what would have been your answer to that same question? What do you regret if you were to look back?
Yeah, I think it's a question that just, really hits straight to the heart. And absolutely, I think it's the potential to make ourselves miserable is endless. Boundless opportunities for that. And a good example of that, something that really stands out as a pivotal example, is about, I guess it was 2 years ago now, I made the decision to go away for a month. And it was sort of coming out of COVID, and the world was opening back up again. And I had felt like my world had just gotten so small. I was kind of locked down at home, Calgary, and being a mom, coming out of this stage of having younger kids, and the calling to be able to invest and really focus on my work and really like do a deep dive into my craft was so strong. And my heart really wanted to go to Paris. And my heart didn't want to go to Paris just for a week. My heart wanted to go there for a month and really like immerse myself. And so I found the opportunities, and I went and I immersed myself in beauty and education and training. And in order to do that, I had to step away from my family for a month. And I had a good friend of mine say something to me that has really stuck with me ever since. And I think to tie back to this, do we feel guilty question? She said, wherever you are, like wherever your feet are, be there. And it's kind of this idea of when you are with your family, be with your family. And when in my example, like if I'm in Paris for a month, be in Paris. Don't Don't, be worrying about the family. And, and so as an example, like I don't want to say I barely checked in, but there was no daily phone calls back to the family with long drawn out mummies sobbing, missing the kids. It was like, that's not going to help anybody. Like, let's just let the family do their thing for a month. I'm going to do my thing for a month. We'll have a few great touch points throughout that time. But to give everybody permission, me in this case, using myself as this example, like to give myself permission, guilt-free, to go and have that experience. And so, I think as much as possible, when I feel myself starting to feel guilty, it's a bit of a red flag. Like either, okay, I need to revisit this choice of my time, like this activity right now. Maybe when I'm, out of this setting, I need to revisit, okay, maybe these type of activities no longer are serving me. And maybe there's a bit of a misalignment between me and my goals right now if I'm feeling like that. But otherwise, really be where you are. But it's a constant, potential. Absolutely.
If any of you are listening to this, the word that she used was give yourself permission. It is so challenging just to balance life on its own. Then you add on the complexity of raising a family, running a business, dealing with everything you have to deal with. And running the business is easy. It's running things around that goes wrong with the business. Take a look at government policies, taxes, COVID, whatever. Holy cow. Like it's a lot to deal with. And the same issues happen to your family. Giving yourself the permission. I really like that piece. Now, there's been a lot of permission you've given yourself and your business. One, for example, is you didn't have to stay in this city. This city is not known for, in the world, or even this country, of being a hub for beauty. And you've stuck it through in this city. How, first of all, why? You can go anywhere in the world. You were in Paris. You could have said, pack it up, everybody. We're heading over to Paris. This is the place. I can set up shop here. I can do the things I want to do here. Why stay in Calgary? Like, who cares about Calgary?
You know what? The simple answer is family. I'm born in Calgary and my parents are here. My siblings are here. And my husband's from here. He's got family here. And, certainly there was that stage of life kind of in my early 20s when I was working with Mac and they had opportunities to maybe consider relocating to New York to work in their head office. Because that was really at the time I was really interested in. I always knew I had more sort of high level interest in the beauty space. I always knew I wanted to either be, if I was at Mac, I wanted to be running Mac, or I pretty quickly was like, no, I want my own business. And I figured that out pretty early. Yeah. But, at that time, my husband and I, we've been together a long time. We always came back to family. We're like, everybody we love and care about is here. And so anyone that knows Calgary well knows that our economy, the beauty space is, I don't want to go so far as to say that it's relegated to something that's almost looked down upon, but I can almost feel that sometimes. It's kind of like this, it's beauty school dropout time or something, which I know is insane because anybody that understands the beauty space understands that this is, it's such a profoundly transformative, important, service for people and obviously a gigantic industry, multi-billion-dollar industry. But the perception when you're contrasting it to sort of Calgary's heavier hitting oil and gas and, the growing tech sector, I do sometimes feel a little bit of frustration around hey, there's this
no one's talking about us.
One's talking a little bit, but I try to not dwell on that. And to your point, it is, obviously, with e-commerce is technically the world is our customer. And it has been kind of an interesting challenge trying to wrap my head around a little bit, what is kind of to get a bit artsy here. It's what is the Alberta, Western Canada, Alberta, aesthetic? What do we represent as a beauty culture here? And that's something I enjoy thinking about too. That's more sort of my art-driven curiosity, and it doesn't come out too much.
Adrienne, I wish our local government would put together a plan that would kind of put a district together, kind of like a fashion, beauty, and arts district. We kind of spread our expertise in the city, in different parts of the city. And yeah, we're not a very large city like your major ones in Canada or outside. But if we had a location in the city where everybody goes to get their fashion, their beauty, the arts, the part that's not what was typical for this province or this city, in that area, I think it will create more buzz. It'll be on the map, literally, and it'll also spread out. And I think we need more in your industry, and I'm not even in your industry, and I think it's needed. We need districts like this to promote the fact, not only in the fact of the service side of it, but the creation of product, the creation of different ways of doing things. If anybody gets a chance to look at her Instagram, take a look at Adrienne's Instagram and how she looks at the individual pieces. You're talking about how she uses a brush to how she uses a different type of makeup. Some of the videos that you put on there from some of your events are fantastic. Just that highlight alone, that there's education, information, resources, and manufacturing capabilities in this city alone. I wish we could get our city council. Some of them actually watch the show, so hopefully they're listening. So from this conversation, I hope they take this and go, hey, we have something to work on. And I look forward to that coming up, because we'll need entrepreneurs and business owners like yourself and many others to jump on and kind of push that forward. I think that's going to be an opportunity.
Yeah, just to jump in, I really agree on the manufacturing side. Like when I go to get anything manufacturing, man, I feel like I'm just fumbling through crumb trails, trying to figure out, a bit short of jumping on planes and actually flying to all these major trade shows and stuff. But the problem is none of it's local. None of it's, it's what a lot of us that are encountering in manufacturing. We're trying to source things as locally as we can, and then quickly realizing, our supply chain here it's very limited, and there's not a huge industry around it, and there's certainly no sense of collective education support resource around it, at least in Calgary, at least not that I've found. So if anybody does know of it, but I feel like I would have heard about it by now.
Yeah.
So,
and you're finding it's more outside of Canada for your sourcing than inside of Canada. Is that fair to say?
Where I can, I'm sourcing locally. Like I try to always pull in star local ingredients, for example. So I work with like a local, organic cold pressed hemp supplier out of Saskatchewan, and a local beeswax supplier for the lip balms. But it's pretty piecemeal, and the larger bulk of the components, packaging in particular, is all being sourced, internationally. Like we just in Canada for sure, there's no fine, product packaging manufacturing going on, but there is some resource here. We especially on the skincare side, we do have there's some very talented skills. So like the intellectual skill set is in the city, but it's more helping to connect people to the broader ecosystem of the supply chain and trying to source things locally. I think it's that piece that's missing.
So normally what we do, Adrienne, on the show is we start asking for pieces of advice from you. I want to change it up because I think a lot of times us as business owners and entrepreneurs learn more from what we've been given advice to what we can give advice. So let me break it down in two different questions. From all the customers you've dealt with over the 2+ decades, what's one piece of advice a customer has given you to help you in your business?
Whoa. Okay. I gotta sit on that one for a second. Let me think. Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you want to pop the second question in my ear so I can sort of mull both over?
Yeah. So how about the other one is, in life in general, what's one piece of advice is something that you have stuck with over the years?
Okay. So one piece of advice. And then, okay. So back to the first one. I don't know if it's so much a question that a customer has explicitly said to me or advice, but it's kind of observing the way that my customers behave. As a business, even though it's a bit inconvenient for me, I try to make it as damn easy as possible for my customers to reach me. If they want to text me, they can text me. If they want to phone me, they can phone me. If they want to email me, they can email me. So I don't, and that's because that's what they want. So without them saying it, they're telling me through their behavior that they really value that they could just shoot me a text and be like, hey, can I come in on Saturday and, I've got an event to go to. Can you do my makeup? Right. They do, yes, they want there's always going to be the clients that want to be able to go to the website and book it online. And they want the very slick, organized booking systems, which I have in place. but I think it's that personal touch piece, at least at the stage of business that I'm still at. I think it's been an ongoing thing. It's been a constant. And I think it's probably been a certainly contributing factor anyway, in terms of the ongoing success that I've had, is that I don't gate myself off too much. Sometimes it has its downsides where I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't sort of ever seem to, get away kind of. But, but I think it's important to make myself as available as I can, partly because I am in like a high touch, high service, there's a strong kind of emotional trust 100%. Factor that's there with what I do. So my industry, my line of work. And so I think making myself available is something that my clients have told me, again, through their behavior, is important to them.
So we call it omni-channel. Like what my team and I talk about is how do we connect with our clients, our customers, the public in omni-channel ways, because not everybody wants to go on a website and book online. Yeah. Some people want a text message. Some people want to look at on social media and have a connection through there. There's different ways that people want to receive and connect with you, and whatever their medium is, that's their medium. And then that's the advice from your customer right there. Just be there the way I want you to be there, and we'll do business together. So I think that's some great advice, even though it wasn't direct. Yeah. What about life in general? Is there a piece of advice that you've been given that you've carried over the years?
I think it's going to sound cliche, because I think we've probably all heard it before, especially the moms in the crowd that are listening, is that the proverbial your own oxygen mask first thing. I think it's really true. You have to take care of yourself. And so my going to the gym is booked into my calendar, and it's like literally prime time. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings, 9:00. It's like, that's so important to me to be there and to take care of myself that way. And, and of course that ripples out into other things. Like, it's like, if you're so burnt out, if you're so tired, if you're so depleted, and you feel like you're being pulled in so many directions, then the guilt starts taking over, and you're not thinking clearly. I'm a big believer in, it's like quality, not quantity, when it comes to time with business. And, and so it's like, I don't necessarily feel a huge amount of pressure always to put in like the 12, 16-hour days at work. It's like, no, so really do what I can, take care of myself, so that when I'm sitting down to work, I'm as sharp and focused as I can be. I meditate every day. I sit for like 25, 30 minutes, just so I'm like calming my mind. So I feel really grounded and centered before I sort of launch into the busyness of the day. Call it self-care practices, whatever kind of language you want to put around it. But, I think I've heard it from people, I've read it, and I embody it. I really do my best to do those things. And I think it definitely helps, because all of this is like, business in particular, it's a marathon. I'm in this for the long haul. This isn't I'm not looking to just go hard for a year and then drop out. Like I'm really focused on this being a very sustainable like, I hope you and I, Faisal, are having another conversation in like, I don't know how long you want to work for, but decades down the road.
Decades down the road. Absolutely.
And so you gotta take care of yourself to be able to see that through.
Adrienne, I like the fact that you are able to have the EQ with your customers and the IQ as well. So you're able to observe what they want. Omni-channel is the word that we use on our team. And so I'll use that with you. That's a big, big step, because some people will say, don't ever text me. I'm not going to answer. Screw off. That doesn't happen on many businesses. So good for you on that. And the whole concept of, taking care of yourself, putting on the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can help others, is a big challenge that many have had. So I want to, those two pieces of advice that you've had worked with, and how you've seen and how we've seen the growth. That's why you're here. Like you're crushing it. You're doing a great job. And again, I set it up at the beginning with all the odds against you. Like, if you think about what you've done, congratulations on all the work you've done. And we look forward to chatting with you, of course, over decades, to see the growth of yourself and your businesses. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for watching the Karmali Exchange. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. You can also follow me on social media at Faisal Karmali, where we can continue the business conversation.